Accessibility is a major concern among certain organizations and something that should be considered at the start of any project. In this lesson, we will take steps to ensure that our Flash content is as accessible as possible. So here we have a document open, which has a number of items on the stage. We have a movie clip symbol instance right here, and we also have a secondary movie clip symbol instance, which has text in it. So in terms of accessibility, we're going to want to go to our accessibility panel, which is located under Window, Other Panels, Accessibility. All right, so I've actually already filled in most of this information to make this particular movie accessible. So you can notice that I have the document selected here in my Properties Inspector. So when I'm accessing the accessibility panel, this is going to pertain to my document. So I have chosen here to make the movie accessible. That's the first thing you need to do. And I've also chosen to make the child objects accessible. I've chosen to auto-label, and I've given the movie a name, Accessibility Demo, and I've given it a description, simply saying this is an accessibility demo for Adobe Flash Professional CS6. All of this information is going to be accessible through a screen reader. It'll be able to read all this stuff. So what about these individual elements? Now I've made all the child objects, which in this case are these two movie clip symbol instances. I've made them accessible by default, but we can always override these on a per instance basis. My icon here, I've chosen to make this particular object accessible, but I have unchecked to make the child objects accessible. And this is one of the things that oftentimes people approaching accessibility in Flash for the first time don't quite understand, is that you don't want to make every single visible element on the stage accessible. You only want to make accessible those particular elements that it makes sense to be able to transmit data about them in an accessible way. So if I had, say, a background image here that really didn't have anything to do with the content, I probably wouldn't make that accessible. So I've also chosen to not make my child objects accessible in this case, because the only thing I want to make accessible is just the full object here. I've given this a name and description, so Flash Professional logo, and the description, this is the logo of Adobe Flash Professional CS6. We can give it a keyboard shortcut, and also a tab index if people are tabbing through content. I've done the same thing to this text field. I've converted it into a movie clip symbol so that I can use this accessibility panel on it. I've chosen to make the object accessible and to make any of the child objects inaccessible. I've given this a name as well, so accessibility info. And for our description here, I say explore the many ways to create and control your animations from motion tweens to ActionScript classes, which you'll notice is the exact same thing that we have in our embedded text field. I've given this a shortcut of T and a tab index of 2. So this has been a quick lesson on how to ensure accessibility within your content using Flash Professional CS6.